Hi there, friends. Dr. Jason Yuan here, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about something that we've all probably felt before, and that's the feeling of being lost in your 20s or 30s. So, feeling lost is basically that sensation where you don't think that you are happy. You don't think you're happy because you're not where you want to be in terms of work, in terms of your job, in terms of your relationships, in terms of perhaps your finances or your location, or even something as big as your passion or purpose. So I think it's really important to understand that everyone deals with this feeling of being lost. Not necessarily that it has to happen in your 20s or 30s, but I feel like for a majority of people, um, we just realize there's this big breakthrough and there's something off, and it feels like we really, really want to be found, right? So, um, in today's video, I'm going to talk about my story and how I got to where I'm at right now and why I'm feeling lost, and basically what I am doing to help counter lost me, and the things that I'm doing to find myself and to be more grounded in who I am and enjoying the process, right? Enjoying the day to day journey. So, how this all kind of started was, growing up, I think for a lot of us, especially for immigrant children, you know, we have so much to owe for our family, right? Just because they took on the risk from coming from a completely different country and, laying their roots here, and working, jobs from morning to night just to support the family. And as kids growing up, you can't help, one, to see that, and two, to feel almost a sense of guilt or shame if you're not doing the same for them. So, what I'm pointing out is basically expectations from family, expectations from society, and we're all trying to fit our own box and make sense of ourselves in this world, in this reality, right? And sometimes we have to understand that our boxes are not going to fit, or is it going to add up to a lot of the expectations of the closest people in our lives, which is our family. So that's one. And two, I think for me is more unique. Growing up with chronic illness, which is the main reason I became a doctor to begin with, that really affected the way I saw myself and my identity growing up. I would say, as even far as I didn't have an identity. When people say, picture yourself in your head, when, just visualize, imagine yourself. If you were to ask me that even a couple of years ago, I would not be able to do it. And the reason I couldn't do it was because I never really understood myself. Um, Going through, university to get my bachelor's and then going to medical school, that really was still holding up the shell of my existence, right? The shell that I thought that this was the person that I was supposed to be, right? The expectations from my family, from society, that I had to become this person. And when I would finally graduate out of medical school and become a doctor, everything would be perfect, right? Everything would be all magically resolved. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Um, if anything, it just only prolonged my emotional and mental confusion, tension in the pressure cooker even longer. Being in school for 8+ years after high school was almost furthering the pressure cooker. And once I finally came out and graduated, I was like, this is what reality is. This is what becoming an adult is, and it completely blew me away. And I was not prepared for it at all, just because I was still coming from the mindset of this child, of this vulnerable, sensitive human being that was afraid, so afraid of life, so afraid of being myself, so afraid of finding who I am, who I was, who I can even be, right? And I can say this now that I'm not there yet, but I'm definitely closer. I definitely have the awareness that it's been a long journey, and I've done a lot of healing, and I know that there's more healing to do, right? So, and I think that this is important to recognize because I'm 29 right now. I'm about to be 30 in a couple months. And I really, really took my 20s for granted. And if there was a couple of tips I would tell myself for my 20s, I would say, you know, to also for a lot of people out there also struggling to find your purpose, your passion, right? Your place in this world during your 20s, I would say look at your fears and deeply ask yourself, why am I afraid of this? And what would be the worst thing that could happen if I were to just dive straight in, just tackle this fear? Because that's the one thing I would tell myself is all your fears are based on your past conditioning, your conditioning from childhood, your conditioning from society, your conditioning from your environment. And I would say 100% of the time, it's not as bad as you think. And when you go through it, when you experience that fear, whether it's success or failure, you still learn. And when you learn, it's like the whole point of having gone through that process. You've learned something that you know you will never make that mistake again, right? And for me, if I had a second chance to rewind the clock, um, I know I would never have kept myself in the shell of just not seeing other perspectives and not allowing myself to take the risk to go for something that actually makes me happy or might be interested in making me happy. And that's important, right? Because when it comes down to what we're trying to work on today, right? I think being practical is important and having awareness is the first part, right? Awareness of your fears, of your conditioning, of how you got here. And then also doing the things on a day to day level that is very intentional and that supports your identity, that supports who you want to be, what you want to do in this world, and how it does align with your values. And for me, that's something really important that I'm trying to do every day. A couple of things that I have been doing is journaling, uh, keeping a daily journal, and celebrating my small wins. As a person that's been really critical of myself, of course, and going through so much schooling and being so analytical skewed in my mind, I tend to be more critical of myself because when you're lost, you almost the desire of trying get to the end destination is so much greater than the desire to have and recognize small victories. And I think that was my biggest issue was I was making progress, but I never really gave myself the recognition, the empathy for those small victories. And, something that I am doing now is, again, with the journaling, having gratitude for that, right? Because when you can have gratitude for the small things, one, you can start to see more of the small victories more. And two, it just kind of helps lubricate your momentum, right? It makes things a lot easier on a day to day level, even though some days might be more mundane than others, right? Not every day you're going to have this big dramatic shift, but I think it's important to recognize and, pat yourself on the shoulder for things that help move you forward. And as long as you do move forward, you know, I think your progress is guaranteed. And two, something else that I've been doing is also focusing on, these three quests in your daily journey. The YouTuber Ali Abdal mentioned this. Think of your life, like everyday life, like a video game. There's these three side quests you have, and it's a continuation of like the small victories, because these three side quests help you kind of anchor back into what's important in your life. So the first one is health, right? What is one thing you did today that improved your health? And for me today, it was just running for half an hour because I haven't ran in a while, and it's definitely very therapeutic. Just kind of getting your head out of the gutter, and well, not that meaning, but getting your head just out and out of your body and just letting your body run. Of course, getting the benefits from running. The other one is relationships. So first was health, the second is relationships. What's one thing that you did today that helped improve your relationship? And that could be with yourself, of course. Maybe you're taking yourself on a solo date to a restaurant or a movie, or it can be giving your mom a call. It can be calling a friend that you haven't spoken for in a while. Just something that helps you feel more connected, right, with someone important in your life. And that's relationships. And three is work. So this work can be, of course, on your finances, right? Doing your day job, right? Doing something different and unique in your day job. Or this could be something on your passion or purpose. Like for me, is today is this video, which I've been struggling to put out just because I've been so over the top analyzing, fear of putting this out there, fear of being judged, fear of vulnerability, et cetera, et cetera. And, I'm trying to practice what I'm trying to preach myself and preach others is you have to tackle fear straight on. There's no way around it, right? The more you delay it, the longer it's going to be there, the bigger it's going to be. For me, in terms of the work is, the point of my channel is to help people live a happier, healthier life using the science of integrative medicine and energy healing, of course. And this video is a little bit more off. It's a little bit more of like a personal vlog, monologue, if you will, just kind of describing these different things. Really uncut, unedited, but it's really not for others. It's a reason for me. It's evidence that I am putting out there that, okay, I can do this. I posted this one video that I was so afraid of posting. Because I'm doing that, I am adding one more vote to the person that I want to be and the person that I try to be intentionally every day, which is a person that has, authenticity, honesty, generosity, high values, and most important, service to others. And really, I think it's a process for everyone to find and explore for yourself, right? Feeling lost in your 20s and your 30s is going to be inevitable, right? There's a lot of twists and turns in life, and you'll never make that right, perfect, one-way route in the beginning. You're going to have to reroute, you're going to have to make some crazy U-turns, some K-turns. But I think the most important thing is to keep moving forward. And that's one of my best friends told me this is that no matter what you do in life, no matter what mistakes come up, right? These things are temporary and they help serve you as lessons you can apply in the future so you don't make the same mistake. Some lessons are, of course, harder than others, but if you just keep moving forward, right? If you just take it day by day, recognize those small victories, take the chance to do the things that you usually wouldn't do, right? Whether it's for your health, your relationships, or for your work, just do it, right? Do it with authenticity, with honesty, um, and of course with an open heart, because this is your life and life is short. So get started, right? The only one that's holding you back is yourself. And the sky is limit if you let it be so, right? The difference between someone who thinks that they can do something and someone that thinks that they can't do something is usually, they're both correct. So, make that choice for yourself. You know, that's really it for today's video. Thank you for listening. If you've gotten this far, I hope this wasn't too rambly of a monologue, but this is, again, really more of a personal video for myself to show myself that I can do this. Again, if you're interested in learning more about my channel, which is the science of integrative medicine and energy healing to help you live a happier, healthier life, please feel free to subscribe. And I'm really curious if anyone's had these struggles. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me living in my own world, living in your 20s and 30s and feeling lost. Please share your experience below. I'm really interested in learning and reflecting, because I think that there's power in community and there's power in sharing your experiences because it makes it less scary. Yeah, that's all. All right. Take care, everyone.